My grandfather used to talk about gumption.
Gumption, what is that?
Staying power.
Staying power.
Yeah, the ability to do it.
I think that actually is true. Because we always have to remind ourselves that, you know, when a young person walks through the door, they've already been knocking in 6, 7 other doors, and they've been potentially 10 down. And now they are knocking on door number 7. Young people sometimes think funders generally, not just the IDC, are a very difficult bunch of people. But I think it's platforms like these where we can share, as funders, what are some of our expectations. Because I can tell you that, you know, in the last 2, 3 years, the bulk of the people that we could not fund has got nothing to do with the ideas themselves, but it's got to do with their state of readiness to run those businesses. So I think this is why it becomes important for us to come at forums like this, where we can share with young people in particular to say, these are the type of things that you need to consider if you want to run a sustainable businesses. Because funders need to see that state of readiness being demonstrated so that there's some kind of comfort that the money invested will ultimately come back to the IDC so that we can give it to the next person.
We're responsible for IDC's development impact broadly, which includes youth, women, black industrialists, township economy, social economy, employee ownership, and community ownership, rural development, and many other of the development outcomes that are already responsible that we need to do to make sure that we have a more inclusive society.
The department's role is to assist entrepreneurs using grant funding.
There's a big issue of race. I mean, how do we get young black people into the mainstream of the economy and make sure that we achieve this broad, bring everybody into the economy to make a significant difference and impact right at from the smallest business to the largest business.
Well, I think there's consensus that more so now than ever, that young people in this country of ours are facing a major crisis as it relates to unemployment. So my role within the same department, I'm responsible for ensuring that youth do participate in the mainstream economy by getting them to be supported by the IDC and giving them whatever support that they need so that they can run sustainable businesses.
Our role is to provide developmental support for the bigger IDC.
We want young people, we want women, we want black business and that type of thing to grow and to take along with them a huge amount of people into the employment and that way make it a meaningful change in the economy.
We also look at, on behalf of the IDC, look at broad-based black economic empowerment. IDC is a developmental institution that looks at empowering not only young people, but business people in the sectors of the economy that we are mandated to look after, locally and internationally, on issues of empowering entrepreneurs.
You know, Stu, for me, what has been very encouraging and heartwarming is to start a conversation with a young person with 2 pieces of paper in hand in one meeting, and Dan and I do this hand-holding that we're talking about. And 3 months later, 6 months down the line, you see that guy being afforded funding by the IDC. And the lesson for me there is, one, you're engaging with a young person that takes to heart the type of suggestions, the ideas, you know, the thoughts, the homework that they need to do, and not want to be rushed into making those submissions the very next day, but rather take time, work through the homework that would have given them, come back, bounce back the idea, we look at it again, we send him or her off again, go fix this, and ultimately, boom, it's done. Because that's the one thing, business is not a quick turnaround time. For things to really happen, you need to put a bit of sweat equity, work hard, ask people, get advice, and so on and so forth. That for me has been very heartwarming in the couple of deals that we did in the last couple of years.
It's intimidating for young people to go into a big corporate world to ask for money. But the important thing is, although we focus on many of the bigger type transactions and businesses, it's important for us to make sure that we create a pipeline into those businesses. So it's very important that we support businesses at startups and small businesses so that they eventually do come to the likes of the IDC to expand their businesses and to get involved with manufacturing and the other value chains that IDC supports. Young people are not ready, they just don't have the collateral, they don't have the networks, they don't have the experience.
At the heart of it, IDC is a financier. And that's something that historically we've been very good at. We've evolved today to not just provide financing, but provide support services around the finance, because it's now evident even to us that finance by itself won't go too far in ensuring that businesses that we support are sustainable.
And then you've got institutions like 22 on Sloane, amongst others, and the GW, where you can immediately access young people.
I think applying it 22 on Sloane is the way to go. If you really want to focus.
22 on Sloane was a stepping stone for us, moving out of home offices into an environment that we could actually scale our business.
Last year, I heard about 22 on Sloane. A lot of opportunities opened up, a lot of doors that came, and people that I never knew that I would have been able to get access to. Well, I've had the privilege and pleasure of meeting big names and big people, one of which is the Minister of Small Business, Lindiwe Zulu. Opportunity that would have never come if I wasn't in this space.
Honestly, for me, I think this is where entrepreneurship is driving. You get to learn. But however, as you get to learn and getting more content and refining yourself and getting a lot of reflection in what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve.
And it all starts with networking, getting to know who the person is and seeing how you can add value to them or how they can add value to you.
For me, this is the perfect space because I get to learn, I get to network, I get to interact with people who can help me grow my business.
We've learned so much from it. We've learned so much from the other residents.
This is just a platform where entrepreneurs and even budding entrepreneurs, young people that want to play in the space, to come and share ideas, to look at entrepreneurship as another element that might up our economy, because during the week, predominantly, the participants were young people.
It's been fantastic. I mean, here at 22 on Sloane, it's a wonderful community of entrepreneurs coming together.
Young people are beginning to enter into the space, engage, and be willing to learn and be willing to share ideas and opportunities with the other young people, with the other institutions, be it academic institutions, with business, and also funding institutions like the IDC.
The IDC assisting us with our business plan, helping us to get funding.
It shows that you have drive and you're obviously serious about your business.
The most important aspect is to know your business, and others think it is only about funding. Running a business is not about that only. Funding is very important, but it is also about understanding your business, understanding your market, putting your idea on paper, being able to present a comprehensive and compelling idea to whoever is a potential funder.
As soon as they start their business, get to know who are the funders, who are the people that you need to talk to. Understand your business life cycle, understand the ebbs and flows of perhaps the sector that you're in, so perhaps it's construction or it's agriculture, but don't wait until you need funding to apply for funding. Always apply for funding in advance.
We have 2 grants that we give social entrepreneurs. So Social Entrepreneurship Fund, that's the first one. The second one is your Special Intervention Fund. And these funds are grant funds that we give SMMEs and other social enterprises.
No business operates as an island. businesses have impacts on communities that surround it and so on. And IDC is realizing this very strongly, and the importance of that business integrating itself in some way or other with the communities around.
So I think staying power for me is true, because there's very, very few interactions that we've had where the person walking in is at a state of readiness, where he's ready to be funded. Chances are the first meeting is about us giving him or her some advice about what they need to do, what they need to consider, do a bit of research here and there, so they must come back yet again. But for those that have got staying power, one, they will check to heart the advice that you are sharing with them. Our advice is drawn not from theory, it's drawn from understanding the workings of the IDC. So I think that's the advantage that we've got. We're not just talking theory of business, but we draw from what we know that IDC has got priority on. And then we share that idea. But think staying power for me is a critical one. So the young people need to think about those things, to say it's not just about me being seen in business, but I'm in business to solve a real issue.
Anything is possible. Anything you put your mind into is possible. The main important thing is you actually just putting the effort in, the hard work, the drive, you know? You have to put in the work, you have to put in the drive. No entitlement at all, you know? Do it because you love it, do it because you enjoy it, but also mostly do it because you believe in it.
You will always get those that feel entitled, but the average young person is just trying to put bread on the table for themselves.
It's been a challenge all round. It's been a challenge personally, it's been a challenge career-wise, and I think that it's a journey. The challenge carries on for a long time. It doesn't end. Growth takes time, and the guys at 22 and Sloane are willing to assist us and understand that with proper growth, it takes proper time.
The struggles and things that we had to go through, and that for me was the fuel for inspiration to say, actually, I'm on the right track, because every story of an entrepreneur that I keep hearing is a sum up of the challenges that they have to overcome. And for me, it is that adrenaline, that adventure, that discovery of the next thing that drives me.
I'm really looking forward to more growth from here, and I cannot disappoint myself. I don't want to go back. I'll never be the same. I'm just looking forward to growth. I'm only going forward. From this, I'm gathering information and knowledge, expertise to grow.
Learning how to scale a business is knowing not to do X, Y, and Z. And you can only know that from experience.
You cannot find yourself running a 5-star restaurant when you didn't know how to run a canteen, when you didn't know how to run a spaza shop, when you didn't know how to run a smaller shop. So you need to start, it's a baby steps, you know? You gather the information, you learn, then you grow, then you get to the greater heights, your 5-star restaurant, your hotels, you know, all these massive things that you want to do.
As an entrepreneur, you're only measured by your financial statements. Everything else is success theater. Sell, find a problem to solve, find a way to execute on solving that problem, find out how much that problem costs for someone.
And the cherry on top for me would be, in the course of these young people starting these new exciting businesses, they'll be solving real world issues.
So for young people, my advice is to be open-minded about business.
Once you figure that out, sell.
Be willing to learn.
Learn accounting, sell.
Be willing to share your frustrations.
I don't regret coming here, because the challenges that I've gone through this year, I was like, why am I here? I don't need this.
Ask questions.
When you start a business, you can be everywhere. You can daddle and be everywhere, because I mean, there's all these things that are happening.
Listen to people who know what they're talking about.
Be open to criticism and advice, and incorporate it where possible.
Oh my God, I wish I could say this even harder. Sell.
You fall, you stand up again.
And you learn from those
The falls.
fall differently next time.
There we go.